Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to the Real Money Coach Show here live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And I am glad that you have decided to come check out tonight's show. It is going to be one phenomenal show. I can't wait to you to just hear the story, hear what's going to happen tonight. As you know, we've been talking about. Well, thank you, Charles. Charles is already all over this thing. He said, "Yeah, put in where you are watching from." Now, Charles is gonna put in there that he got baby backs on the grill. Come on, Charles. You know I can't just drop by California and get me no no baby backs. But if I make my way out there to Fontana, California, I want you to fire up that grill for me. We can enjoy some of those baby backs. So, listen, I'm pretty excited, pretty geeky today. Um, as you know, we've been talking all month about Life Insurance Awareness Month. We've been sharing a lot of great information for it with you in regards to that. And thank you so much for many of you have responded so well. And so the rest of you also make sure you do like Charles, put in where you're watching from, what part of the country, what city, what state that you're watching tonight. And I just thank you all that are watching, and even those who may not watch live, but go back and listen to the replay or watch it on the YouTube. Matter of fact, we want you to do this. We want you to help us grow this community by subscribing to the YouTube channel. Thank you, Alice Martin, for being here. And so we're pretty excited about the things that are happening with the Real Money Coach and the reach that we're getting and the people that are being affected. And, you know, our prayers that will continue to be a blessing to many. You know, what does that look like? Oftentimes that looks like, you know, setting an appointment with me. Let's have a discussion about where you are. And it's interesting. Sometimes when I sit down with someone that schedules an appointment with me, and, you know, you can do that at TonyJacksonAppointment.com, iPadAppointment.com. I'm not hiding. I make it very easy for you to schedule. Is, you know, the first or sometimes even most of the appointment is me directing them to other places. You know, they may need to talk to a realtor. They may need to talk to our economic development office in Mecklenburg County. I had one like that the other day. Is, you know, I probably gave them 3 or 4 different references or referrals of things that they needed for their own personal financial things that I don't deal with. And as you guys know from watching the show over the years, is we try to bring in a lot of people to do that are experts in their areas. I call them thought leaders, so that we have good people that we can refer our community to so that you can get what you need. And so we're all about doing that. We'll continue to do that. And, you know, being surrounded by good people is what the Real Money Coach is all about. And that's why I have this wonderful co-host that's on with me every Tuesday night, unless she's on vacation somewhere or something. And that is Mrs. Michelle Mitchell. Michelle, how are you doing?
I'm good, Tony. How are you?
I'm doing well. How's the weather in the Kalamazoo? What's going?
It's raining cats and dogs today.
Oh, really? Really?
Yes,
You know,
it is.
the one thing I do miss about my time in Michigan is the fall colors.
Yes.
But actually, our tree right out here in front of our yard here in Charlotte, it's a maple tree, and
Mm.
so it has the leaves are turning
Okay.
red. It's a
Hmm.
beautiful tree, and so that's kind of lovely. Michelle, I got some announcements, man.
Yes, you do.
I got some announcements. I got some business announcements. I got some personal announcements.
Yes,
I just got announcements, right?
you do.
So let me see. Maybe I'll put these. Let me put the business stuff first, right? And then we
Okay.
do the good stuff. So was contacted a few days ago, or late last week. Dr. Boyce Watkins called me and asked me to speak at his conference,
Nice.
and that's going to be in Atlanta, Georgia. So that's going to be the 19th and 20th, and so I'm excited about that. I will be doing a workshop on Saturday afternoon, and so looking forward to the his as you guys know, we really promoted it a lot last year because
Mhm,
it was here in Charlotte, and so
mhm.
and I think I did like a 10 or 15 minute thing there, but this will be a 45-minute workshop followed by question and answers hour altogether. So that's going to take place. The event itself, you can Google this if you want to look at it, and we'll certainly have some information probably next week that we'll share in terms of link. But it's the All Black National Conference. It's going to be at the Marriott Marquis in
Mm,
Atlanta, Georgia.
nice.
So that's one announcement.
Yeah.
And then here's the other announcement, Michelle. This is amazing to me. Um, I was in the radio studio, um, and I guess I don't know if our guest was there. I mean, he may not have been there yet, or maybe he left. I can't remember. But I was saying to the engineer, I think you met T Asia.
Mhm.
I was saying to her, like, man, I need to get on the TV station. I need to get on the TV station. I said, I'd
It's
really love to be on the TV station.
it's right there.
It's right there, the same building,
Yeah.
same building. And we laughed about it. Today, I get an email wanting to know if I would do a segment
Shut
on
up.
Friday uh,
Yay.
on. So I don't know exactly how that's going to look because what it is Friday is National Coffee Day,
Okay.
and they want to do a segment on coffee from a financial standpoint, how much people spend, how you
Uh-huh.
can save money, and so on. It's like,
Gotcha.
yeah, you can come to my house and I make a mean cappuccino myself, right? So that's
Right.
how you can save some money, but it'll be interesting to see. But it's just like I spoke that, and next thing you know, out of nowhere, I get this, and then I actually went to their website, said, "Oh, I wonder who I know here." And I did know one of the gentlemen there loosely, like I know who
Mhm.
he is. He knows who I am, probably mutual connection. And I said, "Oh, I have to reach out to him." And then all of a sudden, I hear this. I get this email out of nowhere
Wow.
about
That's
coffee.
crazy.
That's crazy.
About Yeah, that's crazy. I was telling I had a lunch and learn with the team today,
Hmm.
and I was just telling them how powerful your words are. So just be careful what you say about yourself when you
Mm.
don't when you don't meet your own standard.
Right.
Don't beat yourself up about it because your words are so powerful. And I mean, that's
They
you
are.
spoke it and there you go. Yeah.
And then the other thing about it is like my day was a little bit thrown off because I was booked to speak at the CRVA, which is the Charlotte Regional Visitors Authority,
Mhm.
and I was like, man, I wonder when is that? I haven't heard anything. It's tomorrow,
It's tomorrow.
and so it kind of just threw my whole day off, right?
Right.
And so, honestly, to be honest, if I were being perfectly honest about it, I was kind of a little funky mood about it today. It's like, I was like, it's like, and then, of course, I was having some glitches with Kajabi, and it's like, da 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 da.
Mm,
I left to get some fresh air and came back, still, and then I got this email, and I was like, man, God is just awesome.
right. Yeah.
And And to
And
boot, yesterday, yesterday at 11:11 a.m., Tony Jackson III arrived.
yes.
Yeah. So
Yay.
TJ and his wife Leah had the baby yesterday,
So adorable.
and man, just he's beautiful.
He
That's
is.
he's beautiful. He's a
He
beautiful
is.
little boy. Number 5, Michelle. Can you believe
I
that?
know.
Your
Man, y'all
girl, your
outpacing us.
girl, your girl got 5 grandkids.
And I got a goose egg.
Hey, but we'll share the wealth. We'll share the
I
wealth with
know.
you, too, mama. Right?
Your babies are my babies.
Our babies are your babies, and
Mhm.
so just really happy for them. And it's just kind of really great to see your kids grow and
Mhm.
as Antonio, my
Mhm.
godson's married and
Yeah.
and they got their house and their business and she's getting her PhD. Just to see
Mhm.
our kids grow into these awesome adults,
Yeah,
it's pretty amazing
it is.
and very humbling, right? Very
It
humbling.
is. Yeah.
Um, and just the responsibility that we've had as parents to
Mhm.
try to do the best we can with raising them. And thank
Yep.
you all for the congratulations, Patricia. Thank you for that. Thank you, Phyllis Hollywood, one of our great people here in the Metro Charlotte area. So that's what's going on, Michelle. It's
It's
been
pretty exciting.
it's pretty exciting. It's
It
pretty
really
exciting.
is. Yeah.
And so it's a great time. It's a great
Yeah.
time in our life. And
I
so
sent the picture to my son and his wife. Like, look, I ain't say nothing. I'm like, TJ and Aaliyah had a baby.
and because now we got when our families get together, we got a basketball
A
team.
basketball team of Tonys.
Right. There's five of us. There's literally five of us, right? And so
Mm.
interesting. Your brother Von was kind of teasing me about that on our meeting last night. It's like, man, do y'all really need another time? Like when you got three Derricks or whatever, you got them.
Right. Exactly.
So
He got 3 Derricks.
you got three Derricks. So,
Yeah.
but it's just really fun
Yeah.
time. So,
It's awesome.
any announcements you have? Let's talk a little bit about the Viral Networking Conference coming up in Houston.
Yes, the Power Networking Conference is next Wednesday through Friday. Pretty excited about, just meeting new people, being on stage, getting prepared. Like, how am I going to take all this stuff to Houston? That
Oh
kind of thing.
no,
You
that's the
know?
thing when you travel like that. It's like
Yeah.
you should see it in the airport. I got screens and da 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 da.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's pretty exciting. And one of the things that Tony Harris Taylor is doing, she has done a collaboration book. So
Mhm.
your girl is an author because I wrote my chapter.
Congratulations!
Yes. So
Welcome to the club.
I know. So
Welcome.
the launch is next Wednesday. I would like the Real Money Coach family to support. So what's going to happen is you have to buy it on Wednesday. It's going to be a Kindle version of the book for 99 cents.
Okay, so we're doing the Kindle version,
Yes.
99%. And we
And
need
when
a couple
when I
things.
get the links, I'll give them to you. Yeah.
Yeah, and let's put a post in the Real Money Coach community,
Yeah.
and and then yeah, let's get that out on the social media.
Because then if enough people buy it, then I can be a best-selling author
Our best-selling
in a
author.
collaboration book.
I know. You know what, Michelle? It's so awesome because we were going to do the Kindle thing
Mhm.
and ended up not doing it. Right?
Mm, mhm.
I'm still not available on Kindle yet. I got to get on that,
Yeah,
but
you need to
in
get on
the
it.
audio version.
Yeah.
And so we were going to really, try to do that, and we didn't do
Mhm.
it. And it ended up being a number one bestseller anyway on
Anyway,
that
yeah.
day that it
Yeah.
was released. So I got the picture, I got the screenshot to prove it.
Yeah.
So, what is the name of the book?
The name of the book is People, Purpose, and Profits.
Oh, how fitting.
I know,
People,
right?
Purpose, and Profits. Okay,
Yes.
y'all remember that. And it's going to be released on Wednesday.
Yes.
People, Purpose,
Purpose
and
and profits.
Profits. Buy
Yes.
your version of it on Kindle for, did you say 99 cents?
99 cents. It's only going to be 99 cents for one day.
Listen, that ain't even $1, y'all. You
Right.
can't even go to the dollar store and buy anything for $1,
Right.
right? So you
Exactly.
can buy this on Kindle for $1.
Yes.
People, Purpose,
Purpose and
and Profit.
profits. Yes.
Love it. Love it.
Yes. So
Awesome.
I'll have the links and stuff for you next week, but
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the following week is the actual virtual networking conference in Houston.
No, Wednesday.
Oh, this coming Wednesday.
This coming Wednesday. Yes.
Got it.
It's the
For some reason,
conference in Houston.
I'm always putting that a week later, right?
Yeah.
So Lisa said,
The
dollar stores are $1.25 now, right? So you got
right.
plus tax, right? Plus
tax, right.
And so my grandson says, let's go to Five Below. I was like, there's nothing in Five Below that's Five Below.
Five Below, right. So,
but candy, and we ain't going there to buy no candy.
Right. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Good stuff. Yeah. Good stuff.
So I'm pretty excited about it.
And here, Lisa Conley Fonville, she's an author. And so we are, and I know they have some of these things around the country where they bring all Black authors together, right?
Yeah.
And so we ought to have this big, huge thing.
We should.
We get all the authors together and everybody speak and have their books and that type of stuff. So that's good stuff. Well, listen, so we've been chatting for a while. Look tomorrow because we're talking about this grandson we got and everything, But tonight, I'm really, really excited to have Reverend Quinn Rodgers as our guest tonight. Lisa said, let's do it, right? Let's do it. Let's make it happen. And actually, on that, I have talked to Dr. Frazier about having a library at the PNC.
At the PNC.
At the PNC, they're going to have a exhibit just for authors.
Awesome.
And so we have talked about that. So we'll keep that on the agenda. So I want to introduce Reverend Quinn Rodgers. He is at the Park Church. The Park Church is a mega church here in Charlotte, North Carolina, the Queen City. Listen, I first became aware of the Park Church when I was back in Michigan.
Really?
Yes. And it was the Word Network. It was the Word Network based in Southfield, Michigan. The Word Network was really popular back. It's still on, by the way. It's still on. Is it? It's still in existence.
Okay.
And I used to hear this preacher coming in. I really liked this guy. And his name was Claude Alexander. I'm like, man, this dude, I didn't even realize he was in Charlotte. I didn't realize he was in Charlotte until we moved to Charlotte and we visited the church.
Really?
That's him. And so Reverend Quinn Rodgers is his assistant, Bishop Alexander's assistant. And he's going to come in and he's going to share a little bit about himself and a little bit about a WINS class, which is the financial literacy classes that we're doing under Dr. Frazier. He's going to share a little bit about that, how we met, and he's got a story to tell. So without any further ado, Quinn Rodgers, Reverend Quinn Rodgers. I'll say put a reverend on that name, put some respect on that name. How you doing, Quinn? There we go.
I'm well. I just saw the screen come up with the clapping. I was like, who they clapping for?
I don't know what happened. I didn't see it. I was like, got some kind of delay right then. And so, yeah. So how you
for having me on the show? Thank you for having me on the show. I'm happy to be here.
This has been something that's been long overdue, right? It's been long overdue having you on the show. After we shared some text message here recently, I looked and I think I had sent a text to you. I mean, it was good. We've been communicating for a little while sporadically. But what was interesting is I don't think I really knew your name, right?
Right.
Yeah. And so I didn't know who to search for, right? But you ran into Marlon the other day and we were able to reconnect, and I'm just really excited about it. So before we get into the meat of the story itself and what you're going to share, tell the people a little bit about who you are and a little bit about Quinn Rodgers.
Well, first, congratulations on the grandson. Let's go there, right? Listen, I was in the green room. I heard about a grandson. So congratulations on that, right? Congratulations on that. Right. So A little bit about me. Born and raised in Charlotte, so I'm a Charlotte native. It's not a lot of us here, but we're still here. We're sprinkled across the city. I grew up. My mother raised me. My mother raised me. My mother raised my brothers and I. And I'll get into that a little later because that's a part of the story, right? But my mother did a phenomenal job. She at 28 years old, she had 3 boys, and she put us all through college. So, big shout out to my mom. And I attended West Charlotte High School here in the city of Charlotte, which is a prominent high school here. Grew up in the Park Church. So I've been at the Park Church for about 30 plus years. So I've been there all my life. I've never really ventured outside of pastoring.
So was Bishop there when you were little then? Because he's been there, what, 31 years, 33 years, something like that?
Right. So Bishop Alexander came and I was about 6.5, 7.
Got it. Okay.
So he's been in my life since I was a little boy, and now I'm 40. So it just kind of shows when you have a great pastor and God keeps him there, the longevity, the investment. And so he's been there for at least 33 years. Yeah, 33 years. So we celebrated that. I went to UNC Charlotte, graduated with philosophy, sociology. So a lot of reading.
49ers, right?
49ers. Gordon Conwell grad as well. I'm married. My wife and I, we just celebrated 16 years of marriage.
Congratulations.
Got married at a very young age, very, very young age. And upon getting married, God blessed me to inherit a daughter. My wife had a daughter, and so she became naturally mine, and I raised her, and she is now graduating from college here soon. So we are empty nesters. Is Fallon and I, plus the dog Rudy, and that's kind of. And if you ask who run the house, Rudy runs the house. That guy runs it.
Rudy will tell you, Rudy will tell you he runs the house, right?
He will tell you that. He has so much personality. That dog runs the house. So yeah, that's pretty much my story, man. It's a little simple story.
That's pretty awesome. And it's so interesting that you talk about not a lot of native Charlotteans around, because Charlotte is, and we were looking at a study today, my mother-in-law put it on and texted to us. Charlotte remains one of the fastest growing cities in the United States. And I saw a picture of what Uptown looked like in 1968 compared to what it looked like here. Now, obviously that's been almost, 60 years ago, but my goodness, even since we've been here the last 9 years, it has grown tremendously.
It's changed. I mean, when I was coming up, the Hornets came in 1988, I believe. And then, the city began to just go through a lot of construction. And when the Panthers landed, there was just a boom in the city. And now when you look up, if you drive up and down the highway or the streets or the roads, you just see construction everywhere. They're building everywhere in Charlotte.
I mean, I was riding through Uptown the other day, and I think I stopped counting at 9 cranes in the sky.
Yep.
And so that booming continues to grow. And I warn everyone this. Now, first of all those who are listening who are not in Charlotte, I invite you to come to Charlotte. But when you come to Charlotte, you might catch a bug and you might not want to leave, right? Or you might be looking for a second home. Michelle smiling.
Right.
Oh, got her.
I am.
Yeah. And so just a wonderful place. So back when it was University Park Church, and now you know it as the Park. And a shout out to Bishop Alexander and the whole ministry there, because as we're talking about all this building that's happening in Charlotte, one of the issues, and I was watching a report on this the other night as well, is that we don't have a lot of affordable housing. And I know the Park Church just opened another affordable housing complex. And so congratulations to the Park Church for continuing to, do those type of things, that we need that affordable housing. So kudos to the whole ministry for that.
Yeah, thank you. Guilford Park is a beautiful place. It's a long time coming, and the doors are definitely open. And it's a blessing to see, individuals be able to afford living, especially with the cost of living increasing, not just in the city of Charlotte, right? But in the nation. You're seeing the population of homelessness, it continues to increase. And so we're just thankful to be able to put a slight dent and create space for people to be able to live a comfortable life. So we praise God for that. So thank you for celebrating that. Yeah.
Yeah, and someone's got to lead the charge, right? Someone's got to be the trailblazer of the city. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen it in New York. We've seen it in other communities. We've seen some of it in Chicago with the faith-based community coming together, or usually it's not a coming together. It's usually one body or one segment, one church that's putting it together. But that's just a really awesome thing to see. So I hope more are able to do that, and maybe we can do something, unified wise, across a number of churches. Because imagine if you put the resources together from, the UBMI or United Baptist Ministers Association here in Charlotte. Imagine if all that came together and we said, okay, they're going to do something, right?
Right.
Really do some amazing things. So, well, I've been to the park a couple times, and then I came back as part of this team of what we call WINS, which is financial literacy centers that Dr. George Frazier was going around the country putting in. We started the first one, giving a shout out to my church, Mount Carmel Baptist Church. We did the first one. Reverend Dr. Casey Kimbrough, and just continue to pray for him and his family. And so then we approached and went to Bishop Alexander and Minister Arthur Wilson and said, "Hey, let's put this program in at the park."
Right.
So this was in late fall of 2019. So in the beginning of 2020, we started classes at the Park Expo Center, and you were a part of that class.
Right.
I'm going to let you kind of just run with the ball from there. That was my alley-oop.
And I'm going to catch Michelle. I'm about to catch this alley-oop and knock you right.
That was my alley-oop.
Thus the journey begins there, right?
Right.
So it's funny you say alley-oop, because I was actually at the gym the week prior and threw my back out. And so
that's how your back went out. Okay.
I threw my whole back out. Now I'll get into the story, but my wife told me, go to the gym and come home so we can go out. And she just happened to be off that day. So I go to the gym and I called her and I said, "Babe, I just threw my back out." She said, "Stop playing." So thus the journey begins, right? My back is out. It's Saturday morning, and WINS is kicking at the Park Church. Now, I had in my mind, Michelle, I was not going. I had completely made in my mind, I'm not going. But my wife came upstairs and said, "Hey, we have to go." I said, "I'm not going to this. My back is out." Right. So she said, "No, we have to go." So there I am struggling back and forth. I get to the session. I see Tony, I see Marlon, I see Dr. Kimbrough, I see everybody there, Bishop, Minister Wilson, everybody is present. And I'm sitting there in my mind like, why am I here? There's 1,000 other places I could be, and one of them is in the bed, right? But it was during that session, right, that they begin to talk about life insurance, leaving a legacy. And this had to be around February. I believe this was February 2020, right before the pandemic hit.
Mm.
And so I'm sitting there, and it dawned on me in that moment, wow, is my family prepared if something happens? So I walked out. I walked out of the session. I was inspired, and my back was broken. And so I walked out. My wife escorted me home, and I got back in the bed, and that's when God began to work.
Mm.
God began to really work. I believe God works in unique ways, and I believe sometimes God preps you for things that's getting ready to happen, right?
Absolutely.
And so the next week, my back began to heal, and God said, call everybody in your family and tell them to get life insurance. Everybody. I don't, he said, you tell everybody in your family to get life insurance. Now, mind you,
Wow.
this was sparked from the WINS program. And I'm a firm believer, GoFundMe is not an insurance policy. That's just my thing. I look, don't use Go, because everybody might not like you and support your death. So
right. You might find out.
right, you might find out real quick. Nobody liked you even in death. So don't go fund me. So I called my mom. I was like, hey, Mom, I need you to get insurance. Call my brother. He's out in LA. I need you to get life insurance. I said, call everybody. And so I had this brother, my oldest brother, who lives in Greensboro. And I said, hey, G, it was my last text message to him. I was like, G, I need you to get life insurance. In the event something happens to you, we can bury you. That was February 2024. And so I came home, I told my wife was like, you told your brother that? I said, absolutely. Here's the text message. And she just shook her head. But hey, she sparked this because she drugged me. If he would have never got the text message had you not drugged me to the session.
Right.
So that was February 2024. Now, mind you, my brother turned 40 in February. So we were in celebration mode.
Yes, that was February 24th, 2020.
2020. So his birthday was February 9th. The session was in February somewhere.
Right. That was the last session we had before everything was shut down because of COVID.
Right. I sent him the message on February 24th. Okay. We all talked as a family, and on March 30th, he was deceased.
Wow.
I mean, completely just abrupt. So the nation went on lockdown, and he was deceased. Now, when we got the message, he died from natural causes. It was nothing that sparked his death. It was just he went to sleep and did not wake up.
Wow.
So here we are. And I'm saying to myself, what in the world? And so we were at my mother's house. And I'll never forget, we're sitting there, and she said, I don't know how we're gonna bury him. I don't know how, I don't know how we're gonna bury him. And I looked at her, I said, well, Mom, you remember I called all y'all and I told you to get life insurance. So I said, I told him too. We'll see what happened. Sure enough, he had it, and they honored him. And that wouldn't have happened had I not went to that session. And so I saw Tony maybe a couple of months or a year later or something.
Well, I think it was it was that fall. It was either that fall or the next fall. So Lisa and I, my wife and I, we're in Sam. I think it might have been the next fall or something like that. But we were still in masks, right? We're still on this whole protocol. You got to wear your mask out. And so we're out at Sam's buying stuff for Thanksgiving dinner.
Mm-hmm.
So this young guy comes up to me and says, "Are you Tony Jackson?" And I'm got my mask on. He's got a coat on. He's got shorts on. Hey, yeah, bro. He said, and his exact words to me, Reverend Quinn's words to me were, "You saved my family," and I'm like, okay, what are you talking about? And who are you? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you showed me the text messages between you and your brother on your phone. You still had them, and that was so moving to me as you shared that story, because the thing about it is, oftentimes we talked about this on the radio the other day, as preachers and speakers and things that we do, even as parents, grandparents, we talked about that. we do things and we plant seeds and we tell people things, but sometimes we never know what's going to happen. And the fact that you shared that with me was so amazing. It was so encouraging to me, because, and one of the most encouraging things about it was the fact that your brother did it, and it wasn't me, right? He did it in Greensboro. He didn't know me. He didn't buy it from me, but yet what we were doing had an impact on your family. And you can share more about that, but I was just so appreciative of you coming up and sharing that story.
So yeah, it's amazing that you say that, because oftentimes you don't know what impact that you really have. Sometimes you think the impact stops with the persons or the persons in the room, but that impact went to Greensboro, went to LA, and it went other places. And it was a seed that was sown that had a harvest. It actually, something grew from that, all because you took the time to inform, right? From that, my brother actually had, insurance to cover the service, to make sure my mother was okay, and he left a legacy. And it's interesting. My brother used to say all the time, "Mom, when I finally get on." Now, we didn't think death was going to be the way that he got on, but he always said, "Mom, when I get on, I'm gonna make sure you're okay. I'm gonna make sure you're taken care of." And that's exactly what he did. He left a legacy. He left something. And it goes back to what I said earlier. It wasn't GoFundMe. We wasn't crowdfunding. It was something that he put in place. In the event something happened, he took heed. And so, sometimes we have to stop and think that, we have to be careful what we give to people, because it really can affect a person. And I think what you all gave was so positive that it continues to grow. It continues to expand. Like now, my family, we are prepping to look at other ways to make sure that there's a legacy left because of that one session, right? And that was the blessing. It didn't just stop with my brother's death, but now we're looking at, okay, do we need to get how are our stock options? How are our retirement? How are these things looking now? Is our investments okay? In the event something happens, who are the beneficiaries? Do we have power of attorneys? Things of that nature are now in place because of that one session, because of that one thing that happened.
Wow. It's just amazing to me, again, how, but here's the thing too, Quinn, is that you took action.
Yep.
So often we don't take action. We don't want to have that conversation. We don't want to have those hard conversations. Are you covered? Who are your beneficiaries? Do you have a will? Do you have these things in place? We don't want to have those hard conversations. How are you doing? That's very powerful. And I think I look at Michelle and I think about my wife. I mean, literally sometimes, and I think sometimes, I don't want to be stereotyped, but I think sometimes the mothers and the ladies are a little bit more forward with it, right? Because my wife will call our kids and say, how are you doing? I don't want to know, whatever. How are you doing? And so I think that's really powerful that you took that and said, hey, listen, I'm going to call everyone in my family. I'm going to see if they're covered or not, right?
Well, it's also a thing of this, Tony. you know, you all can plant the seed, but it's for me to do the education. So to your action point, I think where many people get caught up is that they quit doing the education to learn how to do something, right? So the challenge is being afraid to learn more about how to make sure your business is taken care of. And then when something happens, you run into a brick wall, and now you have to learn how, though you're not emotionally in a place to know how to do it, right?
You start up. You start up on the inside and outside, and now you got to make these decisions.
And you don't know, with that, it was bigger than just an insurance policy, right? You're talking about a legacy. So there's estate closings, there's other things that come with that. There's probates, there's accounts and financial accounts, and there's other things that come with that. And a lot of people, this is where families fall apart. I'll never forget, in this process, it was less about me, and I made up I made a conscious decision to make sure that my mom was good, my father was good, my brother is good, all of us are good, because once this is over, we all we have.
Right.
And so often, because people don't take the time to do the education, and there's not understanding. The Bible says, in all things get understanding. The family collapse because everybody is trying to get understanding, and they're bringing their experiences, uneducated experiences sometimes, to the table. And now you got all these different discussions. And so when you have the funeral, everybody's already scratching and screaming and fighting because they don't take time out to go to sessions like this. This sparks something else.
Right. Well, and when it's all said and done, and you stop bringing the fruit cake, and you stop bringing the chicken and all that, that mortgage got to be paid.
Right.
Those kids got to go to college and all these types of things. And, and so often we don't think about all those things. And I've often, used as even Christ was on the cross, right? And as he was dying, he looks down and he tells John, "Behold thy mother."
Right.
So even in his death, he wanted to make sure that his mother was taken care of.
Right.
And if it's good enough for him,
right?
What do they say? It's good enough for me, Right. And so there's so many dynamics to that. And the other thing too, as you are really alluding to, Quinn, is that it's not just the money, but it is the mindset that I think is so valuable, right? The mindset is in a different place.
The mindset is key, because keep in mind now, had you not sparked that conversation, just that one little conversation, we were entering into a pandemic.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like dealing with estates and insurance pre-pandemic. This was in the middle. So had I just, with my broke self, got up, came to here, I would have been broke in the midst of trying to fix all of that, right? Yeah. So the pandemic compound everything else, because the offices were closed. Yep. They had put different offices in different buildings, and he died in Greensboro. I never forget, I drove to Greensboro. My mom said, "You want me to go?" I said, "No, because I don't need you getting up there breaking down and crying," right? So we get to Greensboro, me by myself, and it was like the National Lampoon's Vacation when Chevy Chase got to Wally World, and the little donkey or whatever it was, the little horse said, "Wally World is closed." And he had to go all the way down there, only to discover it was closed. So I got to Greensboro and discovered that because of COVID, they shut the whole place down. Mindset. And had I not been able to just be in that room, because you all talked a lot about legacy that day, closing the estate, beneficiaries, how are things set up? Are you prepared in the event something happens? And it's really that, right? It's compound.
Well, and
But
one of the things too is we're talking about it, I think, and I was talking to my son the other day, and he said this. He was training. He was doing some boxing training, and he said his trainer told him that power is good, but speed is better than power, and timing is better than speed.
Mm-hmm.
And so the timing of things is always critical, right? Mm-hmm. Because I know that you all as a ministry have done for years. You've also done your I can't remember they call it. It's
the prepare workshop. Prepare.
The prepare workshop, right?
Yes, Dr. McGuire. Yeah, absolutely.
You've done that. So you've always kind of been in the forefront of doing these type of things to get the information out. But we need sometimes to hear multiple voices and timing. Sometimes it's the timing of that voice and the timing of that message that really makes a difference.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we have no control over that.
No. You just have to be sensitive to hearing God's voice to make sure your time lines up with his time and you be able to hear his voice, right? Because I think that's, to your point, everything aligns with God. So you have to be in so much alignment with him, total alignment. Because when things like this hit, you have to be able to think rationally than emotionally, right? And most people come into a situation like this so emotional that they don't rationally compartmentalize what's really happening at that moment, because it costs to be born and it costs to die. And it's a business, right? It's a business. All that is business. So I told my wife, I said, you have to approach certain things like it's a business. You're the CEO, president of this, and so would you let your business collapse? No, you have to approach it like this. And so I approached this. Now, I grieved.
Right.
Say that
like your life was a business.
Right. Now, people ask, well, did you grieve? I sure did. There were days I didn't get out the bed. I grieved. I went through my process, but I had to make sure that the business was okay, because if not, it would extend it to grief.
Right. Well, having the business taken care of gives you the freedom to do the grief.
Right.
Gives you the freedom to grieve, and you don't have to worry about, I got to get up and I got to do this. I got to find a way to get this done. I got to do all these type of things. And so, and I would just say to anyone who's listening, who's sometimes we're on the edge, right? We're like, well, should I do it? Should I get life insurance? Where should I go? All these type of things is you need to take action. And then obviously, it is the business that I'm in. You can schedule with me at Tony Jackson appointment or what have you. We're in that business. But as I told you on the radio, say, if not me, then somebody, right?
Yep.
But just get it done. And there's some things that we just need to do. I mean, it's like, there's some things, it's just basic. You're going to die.
It's going to happen.
So there's two things that you need to make sure you got. You need to make sure that your soul is right with the Lord. And you need to make sure that you're properly insured so that those you leave aren't left with a burden.
Right. I'll never forget, I was pastoring a church plant that I planted, and I had two young adults, 32 and 125 at the time, and they were getting ready to cycle across the United States. They were going from California to Charlotte on their bikes, raising capital. I'll never forget, I sat the leader down. I said, hey, I told her, I said, you need to get life insurance. And I called my life insurance agent, State Farm, and I shared with her what they were getting ready to do. And then I called the young lady back and I said, I've talked to the insurance company. I need you to call. She said, okay, I'll do it. And this is out there. This is public record. You can go out there and look it up. You'll find it. And I kid you not, 2 weeks later, they were gone. Both of them. Wow. The two were gone. So I called the State Farm agent here in the city, and I asked them. I said, "Well, hey, did such and so and such and so?" I said, "Did they get their life insurance?" And she said, "No, they never called me." She said, "Why?" I said, "Well, both of them are now deceased, and we're in planning mode for 2 services." And it just goes to show you. I have those 2 extremes, right? The 2 extremes. One is I told my brother to do it and he actually did it. And then I told this team to do it and they didn't do it. And they both died in less than a month or less, right? And I tell everybody, my brother was 40. These 2 were 32 and 25. You know, at this point in life, people don't die because of old age. Everybody dies. You can be old, young, it doesn't matter. Everybody transitions. Just make sure your house is in order.
Make sure your house is in order.
Just make sure your house is in order. Because it was tough planning the 2 versus planning my brother. My brother was prepared because he listened. So thank you, Tony. Thank you.
Well, thank you, man. Because sometimes when we're a little weary about what we do, I draw back onto that day that I ran into you at Sam's. And, you know, and it's why we do what we do. And you know, for those who may be listening, our classes isn't just about life insurance because it's about budgeting. It's about your credit. It's about getting out of debt. Matter of fact, right now I'm teaching a debt. I don't know if you can see that I'm teaching a debt elimination class for a church in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I do that right before this class, before our show. And so it's not just about life insurance, but it's about retirement and investing and having your will and all those things. It's about, you know, ministering and to the whole person, you know, and also, you know, a financial wellness, right? And on all those levels. And so I so appreciate, you know, again, you sharing in the church, in the park, and, you know, the things that we're doing there. And we're not done. We're not done. We're not done. You know, we need to continue to get this in many churches and many organizations, whether you're part of a sorority or whether you're part of a business. We do it for businesses, we do it for churches, and certainly our passion, being preachers, is to do it in the church, right? And we know how impactful that is for our community in particular. But even as I look at Lisa that was on tonight, and, you know, we did a lunch and learn in her community. In New Jersey. And so if you're interested in doing that, by all means, make sure you reach out, put yourself on my calendar. Let's have a conversation about it so that we can continue to get this information out there, because it does no good for us to know it and nobody else. That's why we're so passionate about it.
Well, you changed my life, man. I mean, I went. I'm not saying that to puff anybody, literally, man. So you changed my life, and I will happily push whatever you all need me to push. Because
I want to put a shout out to Miss Fallon that did not let her husband with his back out and not go to this class, right? And so, but that, again, you know, that's why we need people. You know, we need. I mean, that's helpmate, right?
Right.
And so that's pretty awesome. So many dynamics to the whole thing that are really pretty great. So shout out to her, shout out to your mom and you know, everyone in your family and what you're doing, and the people at the church who decided to let this class come in.
Big shout out to Bishop
you
and
Dave Ramsey. You can do all these things, and I know many of our churches have done those. We've done Crown, we've done Dave Ramsey, but this, when we come in, we speak to our people from our people's standpoint, and sometimes we need to just hear it in a certain way that we get it, right?
Well, here's what I didn't say. You forced me and my wife to have conversations about investments and relinquishing her to operate in her talent of financial budgeting. Sometimes it's a struggle to give someone the strength in the family because you feel like that's a certain gender's job. That gender's supposed to do it. No. I don't believe in all of that. My wife is gifted and talented. We sat down right after that session. I said, listen, you know how to put numbers together. You know how to budget. You know how to invest. And so what you offer us, what you offer to the people, I can honestly say that we don't always get that type of offerings in our neighborhoods.
Right.
You need it, brother. You are so needed.
The key to the whole thing, I think that you shared, the key to this whole thing is communication.
Yep.
Yeah.
Having the conversation. And if people are watching tonight, have that conversation. It all begins with that conversation.
It all begins. Yep.
So, well, again, my brother, I told you, man. I told you earlier before we started the show, before we know it'd be 9:00, and it is. And I greatly appreciate you coming on, spending time. Look forward to us talking again as we, kind of reboot some things and all that type of stuff. So, any last words you want to leave as we close out?
Thank you for having me. Big shout out to my church, the Part Church, Bishop Alexander. But more importantly, thank you for having me, and Michelle and Tony. I appreciate y'all. Thank you. This is an incredible show. Incredible show. Thank you,
Michelle.
Yes. Like, take action, right? I'm always talking about it. When you hear a nugget, like, take action. Don't just sit on it because you'll forget. It's fleeting.
Right.
Yeah.
Take action. Well, listen, thank you all for tuning in tonight. Thank you, Reverend Quinn Rodgers. Thank you, as always, Michelle. It's been great to have you all. Thank you all for listening. Again, we scrolled it, TonyJacksonAppointment.com, iPadAppointment.com. Let's have a conversation. And thank you all for being here. Everyone have a good night. Stay safe. And we'll see you next week.
Good night.
Good night.